We're here today. We're getting ready to start hanging the main trusses. We've got one already up in the air, so we're going to see if we can't get it set in place and get it bolted up. So let's get to it. It won't go any higher. It won't go any higher. It's going to point a little forward. It won't go higher. So the day before, I had experimented around with about the third or fourth post down, and thought that we were going to be high enough, but the way I've got this strapped on there, it's just not going to be high enough. So we pull it back down, make some adjustments to the straps, kind of shorten things up, and then take it back up.
We're just a few inches short, so we need to get this strap shortened enough so that we can get it up just a little higher. Here we go with round 2.
And it just won't go high enough. Try to get it up just a few inches higher is all we needed, and just couldn't do it. Tried it again, so we pull it back down for the second time, and I have a piece of I-beam that I weld to the bucket and drill a hole in it, and we kind of hang everything off of it. We use a spreader bar on the trusses, so just an old piece of I-beam and double straps, so we're not grabbing it by the peak, we're grabbing it about 6 or 8 feet apart so that it doesn't kind of butterfly wing on you. I've heard of it happening to people. I know people that it's happened to, and I don't know exactly what they did, that, you know, what the conditions were or anything, but I know people that have grabbed it by the peak with a strap, and the thing will fold over like butterfly wings to basically bend everything up, tear everything up. So we use a spreader bar to avoid that. So if you followed along at all, you know that we're dealing with kind of limited electricity out here. Temporary service that runs our fifth wheel, and the welder, normally when I'm welding something on the welder, I'll take it over by the temporary pole where I've got a couple of direct outlets, but here being far away and coming off the camper, it just was too much of a load for the electrical system, so ended up pulling out a couple of generators that I have tied together, and got her welded up.
So here we go. Hopefully the third time's a charm. And sure enough, it reaches this time, and he's able to get it all bolted on.
This machine keeps conking out on us when I try to change directions, and I've messed with it and messed with it. and every time I go to work on it or test it, it works. Seems like every time you have an intermittent problem like this, just really hard to chase down if you don't know what the equipment is. I mean, if you worked on it every day, you go, oh, I know what that is. But since I don't work on this equipment every day, I had a heck of a time figuring it out. The people at Snorkel were really good about helping me out a little bit. But we'll go through that in another video, kind of geared just towards this machine. But it has been a good machine, and don't hold any grudges on it. It did a good job, but every so often we had to fire up skid steer and pull it around a little bit, and then eventually it'd reset or make a connection or whatever it needed to do. So anyway, that's what we're doing here.
Nothing comes without a few challenges along the way, but we're going to get this.
Before I let go of these things, I wanted to get some support bolted to the posts that were there. Just not sure what would happen if I let go with it just tied at the end. So wanted to get a little support on it to kind of hold it in place until we got the next truss up, got them tied together. So as we set the second and third truss and so on, I added the bracing in, at least a few of them, just to keep it secure.
The system that we worked out worked very well. Dave would get the truss up, and then I would hold the rope until I could get it aligned directly over the top of the post in the center of it, and then I'd pull down on the rope to hold it tightly in position until he got on the lift and would go up and bolt it down.
So once we got the first truss up, the rest of them went a lot smoother, a lot quicker. You know, we'd work on it for 5 hours a day, maybe 5 or 6, and normally we get probably 3 or 4 trusses a day. So it wasn't too bad. In less than a work week's time, we had them all up, and it just really went pretty smooth. So don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. We really appreciate hearing from you. We'd like to know if you've liked the content. If you have any questions, just leave them down there in the comments. As we're coming down to the last few trusses, you might see in the video, you might be able to pick up on it, that these last 4 or 5 posts had bowed a little bit, and we kind of expected that to happen. We were real fortunate that we didn't end up with any kind of twist, just a little slight curve, and that's kind of why we put the trusses in on the other side, because there was 2 posts there, kind of H-bracket those together, and gave a lot of stability and let us pull those trusses over to where they should be, and to not let that bow influence us. So if you get into something like this and you have a little bit of a bow, don't sweat it too much. You can pull and pry the bow out of it. It gets a little tougher if they twist. I've seen people that have had to pull posts back up out of the ground and reset them because one twisted so bad they couldn't get it straight, or didn't want to take the time to get it straight. Sometimes it's just quicker to go, I'm going to pull it and reset a new post and go on. So you'll have to make that call when you get there.
This is very exciting for us today. We're putting up the last one.
I kind of look at the trusses as rafters, and the boards between them as purlins. Everybody kind of has different ways of viewing that. Some people view the wood as rafters, but I kind of look at them as purlins. So anyway, so if I talk about them sometime in the videos to come, that'll be what I'm talking about. Is those are purlins, and the steel trusses I'll kind of view as rafters. So anyway, I know there's all sorts of different ways to look at it, but that's the way I do it. I hadn't taken the time to cut the gable post off before we got the truss up there. That way I could figure out where it would be. And I wanted the post to be up as close to the truss as it could be in this situation. And then basically I'll go over it with a board that'll be tied to the post to allow me to continue my framing on up and to hook soffit into. So as we're hanging this last truss, there's a lot of things kind of going on all at once. One is the driveway falls away, and so really stretching us out on height. And the other thing was we had to take a little extra time and get up and cut these posts off. And I just did that with I made a line and just cut them off with a chainsaw. I gave myself about 2 inches of clearance between the top of the post and the truss. So this last truss took a little longer, a little more challenging, a little more to do.
High five, baby. Got him done.
Yeah, it's all over.
Yeah, that was a big job. You did an amazing job.
Thank you. You did too. Well, we just finished putting up the trusses. We still got to put all the rafters up and all the bracing, but the trusses themselves are up, which was a real big project for us, just the two of us working on it. But they're up and we're ready to move on to the next steps. One thing, if you choose to take on a project like this of your own, especially if you're living on the property, you'll get tired of mud. There's Daphne back up from down in the woods with mud all over the bottom of her buggy. You see where she pulls in and the mud follows her.
Coming up next, we'll finish installing the purlins and do some framework before we start on the roof.